Good morning, everyone. I have based the extended meditation this morning on the first reading from Isaiah 61 and on the story in John 2 of the miracle of Cana, at Cana. And I've done this because there is a clue in the last two verses of the reading from Isaiah, where the prophet describes the people of Jerusalem receiving the blessings of the Lord as like a groom who is dressed for his wedding, like a bride who decorates herself with her jewels. And for me, this refers to one of the central mysteries of Christianity and of many teachings across the religions, and that is the mystical marriage or the alchemical marriage. And you will remember that the miracle at Cana, the changing of water into wine, takes place at a wedding. So let us begin to go deeper and deeper within. First, becoming aware of our physical bodies, scanning through to notice if there is any tension anywhere, and taking 3 deep breaths, directing the breath to those areas of tension or to the whole body, and releasing the tension and becoming more relaxed with the exhalation. Next, take attention to the emotional body, the emotions. How are you feeling today? Are you upset, perhaps by something personal, or by all the sad stories that permeate the media about other people's sufferings? Wherever there is trouble in your heart, again use 3 breaths to release and clarify. And now your mind, that which most stubbornly keeps us from the centers of silence and love within us. Are you anxious this morning? Anxious about something again in your own life? About the health or situation of a relative or friend? And or about all the difficulties facing our nation and the world? Once again, using the breath, seek to feed the silence with the breath through the clogging of the mind. So the lines from Isaiah are a reference perhaps to many things, but specifically to the ancient rite of the mystical or alchemical marriage, which was a feature of the ceremonies of many ancient religions and is here in the Jewish religion, and looking forward to the miracle at Cana when the notion of the mystical marriage is recalled again. And I want to explore in this meditation the meaning of this idea of the mystical marriage, such an ancient symbol. The story of the marriage at Cana is often seen as one of the early miracles, if not the earliest miracle, in the Gospel of John's account of Jesus' ministry, and is seen as an early sign of the special powers possessed and sometimes exercised by Jesus. But though that may be true, there are other levels of meaning. We know that the Aramaic language And Jesus' method of teaching through story and through parable was a powerful method of conveying many levels of meaning for those who had ears to hear. And that still applies today. And so when I hear the story of the miracle at Cana, my first response, based on relatively recent findings, is that this was the actual marriage of Mary Magdalene and Jesus. Ceremonies were important in the practice of the religions of the time, as they still are, and significant turning points on the way were emphasized as they are today. So here is Jesus marrying Mary Magdalene, a human marriage with a divine message. For here is symbolized the coming together of the masculine and the feminine qualities of the human being. The ideal, which is still expressed in our marriage service today, of the balance, the give and take between masculine and feminine, and the whole being greater than the sum of the parts. The whole sometimes issuing in an actual child, but again symbolizing the unifying of the self. This is the self with the small s. I heard a wonderful image on the radio the other day. I think it was a poet. And he talked about the parliament of selves. And if you think for a moment of your own psyche, your own smaller self, how many millions of aspects are involved? Just simply, there are the selves you present at home, the selves you present at work, the selves you present in the absolute privacy of your own company. It is like a parliament of voices, and all of them trying to get the speaker's attention, wanting to take over and be in charge. Some of those selves may have a masculine quality, some are feminine. But somehow, over time and through the experiences of life, those many selves have to be brought together as one self. And then that self has to be surrendered into the glory, the light, and the love of the greater self. So the first layer of meaning of the story of the marriage at Cana is that of the bringing together of all the disparate parts of the psyche to build a strong self, a strong ego, all parts working together as a whole. But what of the changing of water into wine? Here is another powerful symbol. Water has ever been, for many ages, the symbol of the psyche or the soul in the sense of the smaller self. And wine, the symbol of the spirit. Jesus' mother tells him, "Son, we are running out of wine." And then we get this rather strange, un-Jesus-like reaction, where he seems to be saying to his mother, "Oh, leave me alone, mother, it's nothing to do with me." Some scholars think that's based on a mistranslation, and that what he was saying symbolically was something like, well, we'd better try and share what we've got, referring to knowledge of the spiritual dimension of life. And when we add to that he has just married Mary Magdalene, here we have a perfect symbol for the action of the divine spirit in allowing, facilitating the surrender of the small self into the greater self. So the Christ Spirit brings about the melting of the self into its essence, as the wine is taken into the body. So the Christ Spirit brings the fruit of the mystical marriage, merging into the cosmic Christ consciousness, which is the goal of all our journeys. To merge the lesser self with the greater self, to know the I am, the essence of our nature. Cosmic love. And for me, that whole process of the unifying of the Parliament of Selves, the inspiration and guidance of the Christ Spirit, and the transformation of individual consciousness into cosmic consciousness is summed up in the practice that Tim gave us towards the end of last year. Ma, Ra, Na, Sa. Ma, Ra, Na, Sa. Ma, Ra, Na, Sa. The Aramaic word, which means come, Lord. I'd like to finish with a Sufi prayer called the Prayer for the Universal, which is a prayer for the building of the divine world and of our own temple, our individual transformation, contributing to the emergence of the kingdom. O thou, who art the maker, moulder, and builder of the universe, build with thine own hands the universal, our temple, for thy divine message of love, harmony, and beauty. Amen.